What is up, everyone? Welcome to another night of ESL Challenger League. It's season 48 here in North America. Boggs and Pineapple Phillips with you again this season, and it's great to be back, isn't it, Nate?
Yeah, it's been about a month. It's been quite a while since we've been on screen, but it is very nice to be back. Got some time to rest and recoup, but boy, oh boy, am I ready to see these new additions, these new changes coming into this season off of the player break.
Yeah, some changes, including on some teams like Fluffy Aimers, some Brazilian teams back in North American ECL this season as well, in Legacy and Laser. So there's quite a bit of fluctuation up and down the ranks. We also saw Wildcard bring a couple of EU imports as well. So there's been quite a bit of interesting things happening throughout this season. If you haven't been reading on dust2.us, you probably should. Now let's look at the standings because there have been some games played already this season. And let's look at what we have in store. Top of the table, NRG 8-0 on the season. That's 4 series played, 4 series swept. Boss nice and second with a 5-1 record. Elevate 5-3, surprisingly there. Nouns and Wildcard also 5-1. So 3 teams all tied for that second place spot right now, with Party Astronauts bringing up that top half of the 4-0 record. Quite a few teams, though, yet to play this season.
Yeah, still a couple teams yet to make their debut. Looking at Revenge and M80 and Legacy as well. Keep in mind as well, it's the same format as last. It's not series in a conventional sense. It's just a series of 2 separate best of ones. That is why you see that 5-1 for Boss. They've only played 3 sets of games, and they lost or they split one of those series 1-1. That's the 5-1 in that record win loss. Of course, the game we're watching this evening, you saw it in the title, it is Party Astronauts versus Fluffy Aimers. Party Astronauts have started off their season, as have Fluffy Aimers, albeit to a less successful endeavor. Looking at Party Astronauts, a 4-0, very solid start for them. Fluffy Aimers, a very slow tumble to begin the season at an 0-4, but they did not have easy competition as they had already played NRG thus far here in this one.
Yeah, an early series against NRG going 0-2. Not surprising given NRG's recent rise towards the top of North America, adding a name I think all of us know in the region in Nitro as the new in-game leader. I do feel for Walco. I feel like he was doing well for that team, but the IGL usually is the first one to get cut in situations where teams aren't performing up to par, and so Walco got the axe. I do think he'll find a good team very quickly. I think he's a very capable in-game leader. But looks at the schedule, because we still have another match up as well. Party Astronauts Fluffy Aimers here, but there's one more going on tonight, Anthran, and why not have that one for you? It's Nouns versus Limitless over on ESL CSB. But the Party Astronauts in town, Nouns in town. 2 good teams, 2 teams towards the top 4, top 5 of the North American region, and 2 teams I'm sure we will see over in playoffs. And Nate, now why don't we start breaking down this matchup here? Start breaking down the teams, because we have some familiar faces, especially in Party Astronauts. Ben Leet's been around forever. Infinite has been in and out of this lineup for a long time. Sixie and Wolfie becoming long-term standing members of the squad, and Fang has also slotted in quite well on this team.
Yeah, Party Astronauts is a team to be reckoned with. They've been making nothing but the right moves, in my opinion. Very solid overall additions, even in spite of some adversity, some players getting picked off here and there. This is a very solid core to deal with. They've, of course, made their land debuts on an international level at Challenger level events. So they're a team that definitely should be punching up in this season. Again, I prefaced Fluffy Aimers by saying they've had a stumble to the start. They do have some relative veterans on their team. Brett is the main one I look to. Jason and Sacrifice, though, have been there for a bit. Bezimek and Slump, 2 that I have yet to really see thus far in my tenure as a broadcaster. I'm very excited to see what they can do for the likes of Fluffy Aimers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought them up, because I'm also very excited to see what we're going to get out of Slump and Bezimek. Slump has some pretty incredible stats in his first couple of games in ECL. There is always a jumping point for players making their debut, and Bezimek as well, flying under a foreign flag, a non-North American flag too. So we'll see how he slots into good old-fashioned North American Counter-Strike, which, as we all know, especially those of us who have been in this scene for nigh on a decade now, Nate, it's always crazy over here. It's not the most standard Counter-Strike. There's always going to be some chicanery, some shenanigans, and it's always a good time here in North America.
It's always a good time. It's always a bit hectic, a bit crazy. I remember in the old days, it was a lot more roster changes too, kind of here and there, willy-nilly. That's kind of gone away with a lot more stringent roster management, only a certain number of changes during the season, for example. But I remember back in the day, it was just players going here and there, switches on a whim. Much less of that, but still, as you mentioned, there is that characteristic NA kind of style to ECL.
Now, why don't we take a peek at the vetoes? Figure out what our first map is going to be in our 2 isolated best of ones. Inferno removed by Fluffy Aimers, Vertigo the permaban for Party Astronauts. They'll get rid of Ancient as well, which is interesting seeing as Fluffy Aimers have not played it yet. With Nuke and Dust 2 falling out from Fluffy Aimers, Mirage and Anubis are the last 2 standing. And for Fluffy Aimers, this is actually a decent ban considering the fact that they had a 13-11 loss against NRG just last week on Anubis. The only problem is when you look over at the Party Astronaut statistics on this map. 10-2 record in the last 3 months. Fluffy Aimers in the last 3 months have 1 game, 1 loss. And Party Astronauts, one of their 2 losses came against Falcons on LAN. No small fish to fry. And if I remember correctly, it was a 22-20 loss in double overtime as well. So a tight game against the Falcons, wins against Elevate, 2 wins against Legacy, and a historic win against Fluffy Aimers on this map as well. I'm favoring the Party Astronauts in this series.
I'll say over both maps, I think regardless of map, I would favor the Party Astronauts. Have been together longer. Again, they've had that international stint multiple times. They put up decent performances there, as you mentioned, versus the like of Falcons, specifically on this first map. But overall, I would have them picked. However, I do like the gumption coming out of this Fluffy Aimers team. Relatively new, as we mentioned. Those 2 new additions, Bezimek and Slump, have some impressive stats. And I like to see this team is playing to their strengths. They had a very solid performance versus NRG, and they're playing against a team that is going to be very difficult to play against, yet still they try to play at that angle, and I'm really happy to see that come through. Our player to watch, I don't think there's going to be many surprises here, but let's go ahead and see exactly what the drum rolls through. Who's it going to be, Boggs? Who's it going to be? Because I don't know. You picked it.
It's going to be good old Sixy. Of course it is. Who else would we pick besides Danny? He's a great rifler, a fantastic fragger, and always an explosive and exciting player to watch. There's no question why we wouldn't highlight him in this matchup. And if we had a little more eyes on Slump or Bezimek, might have picked one of those two. But we're going with a known quantity. We're going with somebody we know can put up numbers. And of course, that guy is going to be Sixy.
Yeah, it's early in the season. Still some time for these teams to really find their footing. But if there's a safe bet on someone that's going to perform at least at par, it's going to be Sixy. He is a player that is consistent in finding damage and can also relatively consistently take over matches entirely. If Danny's on one, you have to look the other direction, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts because he will take over the entirety of the map. I remember back in Advanced, he was hopping through the apartments with AWP in hand, taking over the game, finding multi-kills every single round. It's been a little bit quieter on that front as of late, but still, overall, I do think that Sixy really has that opportunity to take over in a match like this. Now, we do have our predictions coming through, and I don't think there's any surprises here. We've kind of already let them loose. Of course, we both picked Party Astronauts. I'm very glad that production got that right, because I was not here to say I predicted them.
I picked it for you.
I figured you did. I think that was a safe bet. The safest of bets that you could have made. But again, I feel like the story's kind of written there. Fluffy Aimers, unknown quantity, yet to get on the board thus far in the season. Really have to prove it to us, but I am very intrigued by this opening best of one on Anubis.
Yeah, the first map's going to be interesting, especially seeing how tight that was against NRG for Fluffy Aimers. So I'm expecting something good out of them on this map. However, Party Astronauts will have watched that as well. Leading up to this matchup, they will have prepped for that. So what are the counters that Party Astronauts will have in play? This is a free agent roster technically in the Party Astronauts. Just want to put that out there for any prospective orgs that might be watching right now. This is a free agent roster with names like Fang and Sixy on it. And Wolfie. All 3 players have played decently high level, have played towards Pro League, have played on LAN. This whole team in Party Astronauts has been around a very long time. And there's a lot of experience on this roster, not just the years and years that Ben Leet has led this team, but you have Infinite, who has been up and down the ranks for a very long time. Wolfie spent time over in Europe playing as an opper on Fnatic's Academy program. You have Sixy, you have Fang, who's a former Complexity player. This team has all the pieces it needs to be successful. They just haven't been able to have a consistent roster long enough, I think, to really put that into place.
Yeah, they're a team of veterans with a very high ceiling for every single individual. The IGL is the right man for the job. And again, as you mentioned, they really haven't been able to stick together long enough to really cement themselves as a five that should be picked up as a group. We talked about it before. They've kind of made changes, I want to say relatively recently. It's been some months now. Of course, I believe Rush getting picked off. We had Walco on this team. I remember when Walco hopped 4 different teams in like 3 months. That was quite the fiasco, quite the situation. He ended up, of course, on NRG, recently getting cut, back on the market. We'll see where that goes. I'm very intrigued on that one, but that's an aside from this match. And of course, Infinite, relatively recently picked up as well for this Party Astronauts crew. We'll have to see if they can stick together as a full 5 throughout this whole season, then maybe some other orgs will be more keen on dipping their toes into the North American Counter-Strike scene.
I think it also depends on how well they stack up against the likes of M80, of Nouns, of Wildcard, who just won the Revival Cup a couple days ago. So there's a lot of teams that are coming up towards the apex right now domestically. And I think it's a great time to be at the top end of the NA Tier 2 scene, or I guess the domestic scene here in North America. We have a couple of teams that go out, play in Europe consistently, looking at Liquid and Complexity there. M80, I think, is going to become the next team to make that jump. And that's going to leave a big power vacuum at the top. Party Astronauts are going to be a team they're going to be vying for that spot. They're going to be up there with the NRGs, with the Nounses, with the Wildcard, seeing how they played with their 2 imports. They look very, very good as well. And there's going to be some room for teams to kind of shuffle up through the middle of the board, make it into our 10-team playoff. We had our first season of that last season where we had 10 teams making the playoffs, some teams starting off in the lower bracket, some teams starting off in the upper bracket. And it's going to be intriguing to see who ends up being those teams towards the bottom half, towards that bottom 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 position. And I think Fluffy Aimers are going to be trying to find their way in there, but they're going to have to start off, granted, with a very tough beginning against NRG and Party Astronauts, but they're going to have to find wins early, and they're going to have to find wins soon.
Yeah, they are. That window's already really closing. Again, as you mentioned, if you're in that 6, 7, 8, or I guess it's 7, 8, 9, 10 spot, you're already starting in the lower bracket. If you lose one game in the playoffs, it's done. It's curtains. You're no longer in contention. So ideally, you want to get to that 6th spot or above. Don't really see that as being feasible for a team like Fluffy Aimers. But again, you have to look towards realistic aspirations. For a team like this, it's relatively new. Talking about free agent, I don't know if they're actually free agent, but I don't know exactly how big of an org Fluffy Aimers is. Much more of kind of a small
There's
time.
some support behind it.
Is there some support? Okay, so not necessarily.
They're not a free agent team. They have some backing.
Okay, so they do have some backing, but again, it's kind of a team that's been put together relatively quickly. It sounds like we are getting into the action, ladies and gentlemen. Hoping Fluffy Aimers can show their best in this best of one, this opening best of one of the evening. Again, 2 are present. We've only seen the vetoes for the first. We're going to slow roll the second in the pregame for that best of one. But as it stands, Party Astronauts versus Fluffy Aimers, map number 1, Pineapple Phillips and Boggs to bring you the action, and Party Astronauts on the defensive side. I believe they chose to start on this side, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look at the vetoes again. Doolies for Sixy, no kit, smoke flash for Bentley, and a straight walk B for Fluffy Aimers.
There's one flash to pop on through. Ben is blinded. Fang still around the obelisk, trying to swing through and find a couple of heads. He still comes up empty-handed. Jason and Bezimek are going to try to push through. Bezimek to find the trade, but Fang already taking down one is not going to be ideal here for Fluffy Aimers. The very same man with the kill for the teams. Will get the bomb down as 6. He spams a pair from Evox. Nice back double to get into the site here, but that's a nice 2-shot kill from Salump as he taps through the smoke on the second. It Bloom just too late for him. Brett has both down for the count, and Fluffy Aimers a bit scrappy towards the end, able to claw victory from the pistol.
Big one for Brett to find the 2K to cement the round, and the best start the Fluffy Aimers could ask for. The pressure's on from the outset to get rounds on this T side. It's a rather heavily T-sided map, one of the few in the pool. It looks like we already have the classic. Early in the season, a tech pause coming through. Hopefully it's a brief one. But looking at the early goings of this one thing that we said is already ringing true. Sixy is beginning off hot.
Oh, yeah. I love the dualies, especially up close and personal. He made it work in the mid-range as well. Did very well to get those kills, to get Party Astronauts back in. Just was holding the wrong angle, guessed the wrong position for Brett, and that's what enabled Fluffy Aimers to really get back into that round. It was a pretty awful spot to be in the 1v2. All he has to do is look the wrong way, and he's done. But he gets the timing, he gets a bit of lady luck on his side, and so Fluffy Aimers will get that pistol round. Getting the bomb down, though, is pretty solid for the T's. Gets him a buy regardless. And I'm curious, too, to see if Fluffy, or Party Astronauts, rather, are going to buy back into this round, if they're going to be a little bit of investment heavy on Sixy, or if he's going to save for that Wolfie op coming in early. Wouldn't be a bad idea to go for that either. I'm also hoping it's not too long of a technical pause, but it has gone on for a decent amount of time right now. I'm starting to think it might be a minute or two here before we're back into the action. But as far as what we've seen from Slump in the first round, I like what I saw.
I do as well. It looks like there was a knife round for sides. So if I had to guess, Party Astronauts came out on the short end of that stick. It sounds like there's a lot of typing going on, so hopefully this is still a brief one. I don't think anyone's disconnected from the server.
I don't think it's going to be too brief here.
You don't think it's going to be brief? I'm hoping it is. But it sounds like we're coming back to the cameras for at least a little bit. It sounds like Boggs was right and I was wrong, which makes sense as he is definitely the more experienced of the two when it comes to broadcast. So to pontificate yet again, solid start for Fluffy Aimers, but we literally have seen round one and that is all. Still a lot of game to go in this first best of one. Boggs, I don't know exactly how much you can glean from that.
I don't think there's much you can glean at all. Pistol rounds, not as coin flippy as they used to be, I would say, but still almost just flip a coin and you win the round. I think round two, round three is really what has the weight nowadays, especially given how short the halves are. And it's something that hasn't been figured out yet since we went to MR13 from MR15 is the importance and impact of a pistol round. Because now, if you win that first round, you win that second round, you win that third round, you win the gun round, you're halfway to winning the half. Or MR12, not MR13, excuse me. But you are halfway to winning the half off of 3 rounds. You're 1 away from winning the half if you win that first gun round. There is so much importance on the pistol round, or the second round for that matter, because if you're on the T side and you force up into round 2, you reset the CTs and now it's your ball game. And the same could be said, a force buy, half buy CT victory on round 2 takes down that T economy. You get a couple AKs, you win round 3, and it just snowballs out from there. There's so much importance on the second and third rather than that first.
Yeah, the emphasis kind of just continues to build because teams are able to force. I'm very interested to see what the Party Astronauts elect to go for. Forcing on the CT side is definitely a little bit more difficult. Probably going to be chiefly pistols. I'm looking at the Deagle and the 5.7 in that case. Maybe the CZ. That's maybe a big if, given how fickle that weapon is. It's really a niche pick for a couple players in the scene. So we'll see exactly what comes through, if it comes through. Because again, some teams hedge their bets. They go for a round 3 investment into rifles instead. And I can see both paths working for the CT side in this case.
Now, seeing that Party Astronauts still have a serviceable CT side on the map, a 50.8% win rate on the CT side, you might say, you know what, go for it. We have a solid CT side, go for the force. Rely on that T side to really pile up those rounds, which is a 63% win rate, 62.8, just round that up. It's a rounding error, 2 decimal points there. So for Party Astronauts, you can go for that gamble. You can play it safe. There's a lot of question marks around what they can do. I'm thinking what they're probably going to do is just go for a save because Sixy got those 3 kills. He's at 2950. He can get that op into Wolfie's hands for round number 3, and they can be ready to go there. I think that's probably what they'll opt to do, just so they can get the big green early. Wolfie wants that in his hands. We know that after watching him for quite a long time. And that'll be something to keep an eye on too, is the potential Opera's duel between these two sides as well. You have a very experienced, but not exactly flashy sniper in Wolfie. He's a very steady Opera, and I think that's exactly the kind of calming presence that a team that consists of 6C and Infinite kind of needs.
As I say, you don't really need an aggressive Opera when you have a rifler like 6C or like Infinite that can do the job just as well with an AK instead. I think those pair of players definitely have the aggressiveness covered. It sounds like we have indeed fixed the issue, or at least remedied it for the moment. And we are back into the action. Round number 2. What is the call? It is a force buy for Party Astronauts. MP9s on 2 and a Scout on 1. Wolfie glass cannon Scout. You hate to see that. But the MP9s with a bit of utility and armor as well definitely throw some spanners into the work. Speaking of a spanner, that Scout gets naded to 20 and yet still gets a kill. Brett inches forward, taking space off of it. Fang already knows the possibility. Spot comes in. The MP9 is better at close range. If you don't hit the headshot early with the MAC-10, it's just shooting very tiny, ineffective bullets versus full Kevlar. 5 versus 3. Party Astronauts thought about aggressing towards A main, but with the 2-minute advantage, there's no reason to take that fight to your adversaries. Fluffy Aimers on a hefty back foot now. 3 versus 5. Galil, AK, MAC-10. Good bit of utility. 2 smokes, 2 flashes, and a Molotov. But again, the full 5. Ready to rebuke him. There's no kid as well, so if Fluffy Aimers can get the site, that is potentially a avenue towards victory. That is a very long avenue, fraught with danger.
Fraught with danger, long avenue. It sounds like some sort of fantasy novel right now, Nate, the way you're phrasing it. And it might be not but a fantasy for Fluffy Aimers to pull this one back. 60 up close, MP9. He's spotted. It's a good right-eye peek there from Bezimek. Infinite next in line. 5-7 domes one, but Bezi's there for the trade. In come the AKs onto the A site. One long range angle from Wolfie Scout. Mollied off. He'll run for the hills. Only at 20 HP. He'll back away. Still, not a safe situation from Party Astronauts, especially with Fang on the flank through main. The last 2 coming in towards CT spawn. Ben taken down first. Bezi's on for 3. Ace potentially here for the new kid on the block. He's got 4, but Fang's picked up a Galil. 2 to find. Headshot can take down Bezi. Headshot angle towards window, but no peeking here from Fluffy Aimers. Very disciplined hold. Each watching the others back right now. And so Fang will bail. He'll run for the hills, and Fluffy Aimers will survive. But that is the potential lethality of the 4 spies, regardless of the side, and shows the importance of these rounds as far as the half is concerned, the second and third. Saved Galil for Fang. He'll probably keep that, drop the 5-7 over to a 6C or an Infinite, and go from there with a buy into round number 4. PA will look for damage again, keep that economy of the Fluffy Aimers honest and in control. And once the guns come out, once the op party has begun to stack the CT rounds on the board.
Yep, still in the early rounds. Fluffy Aimers have to invest quite a bit, as you mentioned, with only 2 surviving. Got to see one of the new guns really open up, though, in Bezimek. That was a rather stellar performance to bring his team back into it. Keep in mind they were down by 2. Stellar entry onto 60. And a stellar follow-up onto Infinite. Followed by 2 more kills up towards Heaven. Very good performance from him individually. Fluffy Aimers trying to do what they did before, albeit meeting less pressure this time around. Fang boosted up on back B. I like it as well, but Sacrifice made the perfect read across. Crouching under the smoke could not be spotted. Wolfie trying to delay is caught from ahead and behind. Ollie in. Fang now has to do a lot with this Galil. His team is trying to distract, run screens, but it's not nearly enough as Brett finds him with the MAC-10. Last alive is Infinite. 5-7 is all he has. The round should be done. The question is, can he find one? Brett is low. 5-7 can one-shot this player up close. Keen on giving opportunity. Jason jumps up, gets the kill. No fuss in that round, unlike the last. A full 5 surviving, a full fleet for Fluffy Aimers, as they have started things off with a triple win in terms of rounds, 3-0. But as you mentioned, Wolfie, eager to get the op out early.
He'll probably play out towards mid. That's normally where he sits on Anubis, at least at the beginning. Expect him to take a decent hold position. Don't expect him to over-peek, over-aggress, although he actually goes In towards the A site instead, he'll go a main, maybe sit on pool, maybe go for a bit deeper of a peak. But he's going to combo up with Infinite here, a very wide angle from the Party Astronauts Opper off the rip. And instead it's 60 to go up towards mid with a FAMAS. That's a pretty interesting decision, but Wolfie's found the entry with that op taking the deep peak. He'll back away now and reinforce Danny out towards middle or rotate in towards B. Infinite Jiggle peeking with the smoke out, backs away. That almost reminded me of B-Ramp Train holding from Infinite right there with that little aggressive Jiggle peek. Brett tagged 2 for Fluffy Aimers. No real return damage dealt by the T's just yet. And this is what Party Astronauts were waiting for. They were hoping to get into it faster with a second round force win. But once their guns come out, they have confidence in their holds and in their team to get the rounds that they need on the board to get this one in the bag. That's why they went for that aggressive force as well. Audible over towards B site though, and Ben has the first contact. Takes half damage, but he takes out Slump. In comes Jason, spots out Ben. 2 targets, too many. And Jason falls the very same man. Brett there for the trade, sacrifice out towards main. They know where he is, and Fang has cleaned up the one left on site. Smoke fades, sacrifice peaks. He eats a bit of nade damage. One coming in on the long flank, but he'll get faced in by 60. And the aggressive rifler from PA will put him down. Only 1 casualty for the CTs. Money good enough for another buy from Fluffy Aimers, but not too much will be left in the tank for them should they lose this next round.
Same could be said for Party Astronauts, though. They still have to invest a good bit of money to re-ascertain the utility. See a lot of players below 2K. In fact, 3/5 of the team, nope. 4/5 of the team as 6C buys down to a FAMAS. It's a bit of a swing round. Whoever wins this should have momentum going forward. The Aimers have an op of their own, and around the smoke, Slump throws it for himself, and he'll drop Wolfie. Opper's duel 1 in round number 5 for the Fluffy Aimers. Trades not coming through. Fang will eventually swing, looking for information with some flashes. No information to be gained. 6E Infinite already getting a little bit antsy towards A main. I heard the drop towards Rugs, though. That forces Infinite back. 6E playing anti-flash, close in the corner. Here comes the walk. Oh, it couldn't be worse. He throws the Molotov, and Brett catches them both. The first with the nade, the second looking at the wall. They're condemned to the next round, as should be the rest of the squad. Ben leaped towards exit/camera. Caught Fang the last. He rotated in towards Heaven. He's found 1, but only 1. And now finds himself alone. 1 versus 4. Plant going down, nothing he can do, powerless to stop it. At this point, he's stuck in because of this flank, or at least he suspects he is. So he's hoping to do damage before he's felled. Try to dual slump on the op. Does bait out the shot. Again, he's going to have to fight his way out. Wing comes in with the flash, a whiff spray. Sacrifice with the flash from Slump gets the kill. Fluffy Aimers isolate that victory of Party Astronauts alone. Again, send their economy back towards a half-buy/save situation.
Something interesting to note, Nate, in their one map against NRG, it was a 41.7% win rate for the Fluffy Aimers on T.
Really speaks to that T-side advantage that I talked about earlier in the show.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
47.4 wasn't enough to win it. That's what? 5 rounds?
5 rounds, yeah. Should be around 5 rounds. I think it actually has to be.
It was 11-13, right? So they got 6 on the CT side, so there are no slouches there either. Pressure on. Party Astronauts, I would say 3 or 4 is where you're comfortable with it, but pissed around and maybe a little bit of pressure there. Again, Sacrifice making that cross perfectly. Just dodging Fang's crosshair.
Yeah, and
right
this
around
boost,
the smoke.
Yeah, it doesn't really work unless the smoke's up. It's too vulnerable. The Molotovs come through from Fluffy Aimers and clear out that whole area.
They're throwing a shallow smoke so they can see over it. Sacrifice is still wise to it, though. Trades come through. Pistol of 6C. Drop Sacrifice. Immediately dropped by Slump. Or slumped by Slump, I guess is the best way to put it. Hero Rifle of Fang. Still kicking on B, but it looks like he's alone. Trying to be the hero. Stops the take. It is They're not committing, but it is going to be a B hit. You have to assume that at this stage with two towards E-box, 2 towards main. Fang, he's at least a double to give his team a chance in this round. Even then, that might not be enough.
He just gets deleted. Tapped away by Bezimek on the clear. And that's the problem with that position for Fang, too. There's so many different possibilities for people to be places. Just asleep at the wheel. Gets drive-by'd. And so the pistols will come through here for exits from the looks of things, although Ben might charge through himself. He will take contact, and Jason, a bit belabored, will spray him away. Slump watching the flank. Not really too worried about the 5.7s at distance. He'll be able to maybe add a couple more to his tally here. But I've liked what I've seen from Slump so far on the off, particularly that duel he won against Wolfie. Bezzy will go forward, and he'll grab himself 2 more, making it a 3K on the round. He's had a very good performance this game so far on the rifle, and it's been a bright spot for the Fluffy Aimers attack. A timeout for Party Astronauts, and I'm glad they call it here, because I was about to say it might be timeout time here from Party Astronauts, as this gun round they cannot afford to lose. They've bought all in here, even then the utility's still a bit sparse. Not a kit purchased either, Nate. And I think Ben's waffling between a kit and extra utility. He has exactly $400 in the bank. But how many times have we seen teams lose rounds because of a lack of a kit? However, if it even gets to that point for PA, their money's too far gone anyways.
Yes, it is. Well, if you can't even buy a flash for his teammate, that would have been cool. It's dropped a Molotov instead. Again, a lot of emphasis put on that op for him. Bezimek has been very good against the half-buys. Not panicky against the pistols up close. Looks more at home, I'd say, than in actual rifle rounds.
I'd agree with that. I think Slump feels better during the rifle round.
Yeah, he's been feeling solid overall in the op as well. Keep in mind, they're 1-for-1. Are they 1-for-1 on duels? Maybe it's even 1-0 for duels.
He's 1-for-1. Or, yeah, he's 1-1, only played 1. So, yeah. He's batting 1,000.
Impressive indeed. Wolfie, same angle on A main. Wide angle with infinite spotting close. The walk middle. There's no one actually here to stop this. It's being spotted by Infinite. He fell back after the op got situated.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. Not a lot of utility either. Infinite's going to commit the Molotov as the spot comes through. There it is. He's trying to buy time for rotations. Wolfie looking for his one player on the extremity. Misses the shot. Forced away. And now they're both kind of stuck in sight with players at every angle. Jason, over the top, finds Ben leap through the windows in towards Temple, and Bezimek does not slow down either, finding 1, finding 2 on Defang, and 62 big players to find who were keen to go on an early flank. And a very good adjustment from Fluffy Aimers. They don't find the picks they necessarily wanted towards A main. They look for the rotations instead. They know they might be desperate, and it is expertly read. Infinite and Wolfie, the final pair, already cutting ties with the round at this point, playing for survival. Infinite will find one onto a hunting Jason, but Fluffy Aimers have the money to play with. They will try to drop these weapons if at all feasible. Wolfie might win the Opera's duel by virtue of this. Again, this duel is not effective for him. Infinite finds 1, Infinite finds 2. Wolfie, though, should be run down unless he plays it perfectly. He actually finds the kill, and the Opera slump misses. So all 5 hunters miss. I guess a little bit of damage to that T-side economy, a good bit actually to sacrifice. And Jason and Brett, who will have to fully reinvest, but the attempt was at least worthy.
It was a good idea, and if they can take even one of those guns out of the hands of the Party Astronauts, it's huge. But that was a bit of an awful situation for both Slump and Wolfie there. Just both guys shooting broadsides and getting splashed, but no contact. Now, it's a double op setup from Party Astronauts, and a very interesting one with Ben on that secondary op as well. When you have a guy like Sixy who likes to op as a potential secondary opper, I would have figured maybe he wants that big green gun, but maybe with his mid position, he wants to go with something a little more multi-kill friendly. Although with the FAMAS being his gun, and it's not even going to sing at all, it's sprayed down by Jason, just looking over that smoke. Tracer's traced back to sender. And so 6C down for the count early. He still has the most kills on Party Astronauts, which is not great considering it has not been a fantastic start for him here.
Now keep in
5
mind,
and 7.
I mentioned he was hot at the start.
Yeah,
He's gotten 2 kills since pistol round.
that is very true.
He got 3 in the pistol. That's why I got excited. I was like, maybe this is a 6C game to take over. But he's been...
Well, somebody's got to take over for PA, but nobody is.
Nobody's
The
doing
phone's
okay.
ringing, nobody's answering.
This Fluffy Hammer side has been impressive as well. Bezzy's on 11.
Oh, yeah. Bezzy's
Impressive.
been great to watch.
Standout performances from the new additions. Slump's op has been very solid as well. Impact kills is what I call it. A bit of a flub there in the round prior, but hey, he'll still try to do what he can.
Did he just get 100 to 0'd?
He's gotten shot and then mollied.
Okay.
Op from Ben Leet. Slinks out. That's an opping duel 1. And that's an advantage secured. The remaining 3 now going to contact out of main. Fang just takes that first time and gets kills. 1, not the second. Trade not quite converted. Ben now going to be tested, but rotations are going to come through and they won't be punished. Sacrifice, though, forces the issue. Securing even footing and spotting a player who's low down towards canals. Still most certainly doable for Fluffy Aimers. They're both now on site, and there's not much utility left for the PA side. Both doubling up in towards E-Box. I like this call for Fluffy Aimers. Infinite trying to get a delicate duel as best he can, but none is being presented. Sacrifice forcing the issue again, wins the duel. And that will compel Wolfie to again concede a round, saving the op for the following. Fluffy Aimers, though, an impressive 7th put on the board, and again, an opportunity and a whole lot more. 11 is a possibility for them at this stage.
Yeah, a couple glimmers of hope from Party Astronauts there, especially with that Ben off kill towards Canal, but overall, it's been a very flat performance from PA, and an uncharacteristically flat one at that. Players missing shots they normally don't miss, players making decisions they normally don't make. Fluffy Aimers have been fantastic, and I think they've kind of stun-locked Party Astronauts here. Particularly Bezzy, he's been fantastic on the entries, charging in or that second man in, finding players, ripping off heads. Slump's been steady. Got a little timing there by Ben on the Canals peak. Overall, just a very good performance team-wise and utility-wise from Fluffy Aimers, and for Party Astronauts, they've been unable to cope. Wolfie's about to 100 to 0 this.
You know, the smoke covered the Molotov. It didn't. Maybe a flash, like a half flash kind of masks the sound of you burning. That's my best conjecture there. This has been disastrous for Party Ash. You've been right. You've mentioned it individually and utility-wise. Their reads as well have been far better. Party Astronauts on the back of that timeout tried to go for a proactive rotation down below and instead were cut off from above up top of canals and fell flat completely on their faces. It's been a very solid one for this T side. Fang and Ben Leet got pressure in towards canals. Bezzy Max gonna play around this smoke. 3 players still towards B. 1 towards A for Party Astronauts. They're still content holding. They know that this defense is going to get desperate. And there's the desperation leaking through. Through B main they come. Sacrifice 1, not the second. The Flying Fang will get the trade. The information's there. It should be 2 more towards B. Infinite, this lone defender at A. It's down to half HP. Did a good amount to Brett. This A site take now is not going to really be hindered at all. I say that. He still gets 1 before falling. A gift. Still an advantage for Fluffy Aimers.
AK for Fang, op for 60. We know he can use this gun to great effect. It's not his primary, but he will have to make it serviceable if he wants success with his team. Spots out 1, but Jason, that's a great shot on a 60 who ended up hitting right click instead of left. He double scoped in onto the pillar. And that will be his undoing. 2 HP for Brett. Fangs with the op. He's running away. There is a bit of a hunt in the form of the 2 HP man as well. Fang will survive here, unless he gets caught by Brett, which actually seems more likely as time goes on. Fang is making all the noise with that scope. Brett knows where he's coming from. Fang's not ready for it. Brett has him done and dusted. 8 here for Fluffy Aimers, and Party Astronauts are struggling here to get anything going. They get a couple of kills, they get some form of small momentum, and the rug just gets yanked out from under them again by a good play or two from the Fluffy Aimers, taking some fights, winning their duels. The confidence is abounding for the T's. They just keep on getting better and better as the game goes on. And Anubis can be pretty frag heavy if it comes down to it. A little more of the older style, like a Cash, like a Mirage, very puggy if it can come down to it. And Fluffy Aimers are taking full advantage of that right now.
Yeah, battles of attrition is the best way to put it. Fluffy Aimers more than happy to take those as well with these new additions in Bezimek and Slump. Party Astronauts, as you mentioned, close but no cigar on almost every single round. You can tell because of the Fluffy Aimers economy. They've won, what, 5 in a row? But they're still all below 10k. That should tell you that Party Astronauts are at least doing the damage. They're not getting across that line. Bezimek, good for one.
Not worth it.
1 for 1. Fang for Bezimek. It's a big player to drop at least. But Party Astronauts still, again, keen on getting aggressive. Despite being held by Fluffy Aimers, Brett looking for this exact duel, gets the information, doesn't get a kill, but he's still going to get his nose in for a second. Does find it and knows now that 6C's pressed. Very well played, very well read by the veteran of this team. One of the veterans, I should say.
Awkward situation for 6C, and this double up between him and Infinite out towards A main continues to yield negative fruit. They just get plucked from the vine instead. Slower mid-round here from Fluffy Aimers. Probably expecting some aggression from the Party Astronauts here, which is not happening. PA stationary on their sites. Not moving, except for 6E, who has to watch 2 different angles because mid is wide open, and they know it. You might be given a gift here, though. The bomb moving towards A. If you can take that fight out towards Rugs, get the timing right, that locks down the bomb. Time is low. Gives him a chance to run away and buy even more time, but he's going to be keeping an eye out towards Connector instead. He's backstabbed now from Brett in main. Ben Wolfie will attempt no form of retake as the bomb goes down with 5 seconds to go. Bomb has been planted. It's a mess of a half from Party Astronauts. They've used 2 timeouts. They've got 1 isolated round sitting, surrounded by Fluffy Aimers' dominance.
See you gold.
Mm-hmm. El Dorado.
And 6E kind of just doubting his call. I mean, there's really no way to play. There's no elegant way to play as the CT there. My odds would say choose one angle or the other. Commit towards A main and play in A main, or play on B or on site / up in heaven. So on cake, back site, or playing. That seems like way too many angles to watch. I would say in heaven, all the way back, holding the cross towards camera. Might be the other possibility, but again, stuck between a rock and a hard place. 1 player or 2 players towards exit sign / camera, and 1 coming in towards main. Unfortunate for him, and unfortunate for Party Astronauts, who are now down 1-9. Can they reinvest? They should be able to with 2 rifles saved. Looks like they will. Infinite has an MP9 instead of a rifle, but it can still get the job done. And the issue at this point isn't the riflery for the CT side, it's the execution and it's the individuals. We need to see somebody wake up, or this map will be over before it even gets started.
Wolfie will not peek first. Boosts up on top of Ben. Sacrifice is no longer holding the area. Ben will continue to push forward, however. Get some space and information. Sacrifice going to wait for a potential push. Just holding. Watching Brett's 6 here. That's his job.
He's been a selfless and impactful player.
Mm-hmm.
Quiet on the stats, but how about those 2 kills? That was one of the rounds, I think the closest round Party Astronauts have come to winning, other than their single round win.
Yeah. What would you say his name is fitting, Nate?
I would. Really apt. Aid towards smoke is well timed. Party Astronauts, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was theirs thrown. But Jason still wins the duel into 6C. Wolfie does win the Opera's duel. answer with a second. No, Bezimek's entry's indomitable. He's unstoppable on at least finding one. Adds another to tally. Jason, combining fire with Brett, drops Infinite, trading his very same comrade. Advantage secured yet again for Fluffy Amers. Forthcoming. Sacrifice through the wall finds yet another, leaving just the IGL of Ben Leet, the quietest of the crew. And a retake. There's only one player on the side. He could find this first. Jumping up, right read. Good kill onto the first. But the bomb plant is not for him. Sacrifice's rotation is timely, but he's low on HP. It should be a second for Ben Lee. No, it's not. Sacrifice swinging gets the player who very nearly got the ninja. 10-1. And all 5 players for Party Astronauts going down. They have that loss bonus at the very least to secure some weaponry. At this point, even a 2-10 feels like a hollow victory.
Hollow, Pyrrhic, soulless. They're going to buy up here. Last round, why not? Why wouldn't they? But there just has not been any spark, any gumption from the Party Astronauts. The op, barely effective. The rifles, 1 kill here, 1 kill there, but not close enough and not consequential enough to actually get an advantage for the CT side. Bezzy's already out to pull this little bit of damage. Infinite has Wolfie behind him. Infinite doubles up here, and he might just save something. Give Party Astronauts 1 extra round to hang on by. But the bomb has been gathered again. It's in the hands of Slump, and he's going over towards B, which has now been held by Fang nicely. But Sacrifice brings it back. Sacrifice and Slump at a 2v5. Ooh, I think that Inspect was a little ill-timed for Sacrifice. Still would have been a very tall ladder to climb. Wolfie will put down Slump at the end for a long-needed round from PA. We'll see you after the break.
A rough start for Party Astronauts, but at least they find a second in the eves of half number one. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs to bring you the action. And again, stay tuned. This is not the only best of one of the evening. There's another one following this one. But I feel might almost be curtains for this Party Astronauts side unless they can win this, the second, the bonus, and keep going from there because they have a lot of ground to make up to even make this competitive. They're trailing by 8. The Amers are keen on taking this one across the line sooner rather than later. Jason falls to Infinite at the start, but Slump is still here on the back lines, finding a second before finally being felled, bringing it back to even footing. Fang is on a late lurk, and actually they're going to pivot back towards B instead, banking on the rotations going towards A. Good call from Party Astronauts, as they have gone the very same direction. And now it's going to be a difficult 3 versus 3 retake. But much like the last half, there's no kit for this CT side.
Bezzy's here, though, and he's got those dualies. Sacrifice taking a long duel. Has the advantage of weaponry at this distance, but Brett picks up a Glock and he destroys Infinite. Wolfie falls to Bezzy. Fang, the last one standing. Peaches 50, Raid Boss run down by Sacrifice. Brett was there as well for the potential kill. The fuse comes through. 11-2 for Fluffy Amers. Nate, the necessary pistol round to give Party Astronauts a glimmer of hope. You could even say a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of sunshine, as it is an incredibly cloudy day for them right now. Just completely eliminated by Fluffy Amers on a flawless 3v3 retake. I think we're going to head to map number 2 pretty darn quick.
Very quick. Blinking, you might miss it at this stage, in my opinion. We do have a force spy from Party Astronauts. It's bolstered by that bomb plant. Not as much as it used to be, though, with those recent updates. Still a hero AK, though, for Infinite. The only one really putting up numbers for his team. 6, he got 3 in the pistol in that first half, and then 2 in the rest of the half. And is still yet to find a kill in the second. Bezzy and Brett, honestly, have been those shining stars. Sacrifice has actually picked it up a good bit. Slump as well has been doing his duty as the op, his due diligence. Jason as well. A second man getting good trades as required. Everything going the way of Fluffy Amers. Can't overstate that fact. It's going insane. Spot in middle for Jason. He'll throw the Molotov off the contact and they'll race through it. Good flash in, but don't actually find the kill proper. Brett now here to bolster. Sprays belabored. In fact, it goes neither defender's direction. Infinite Wolfie, 2 kills. The remaining 3 defenders are already going to call it quits. They all have rifles. They don't want to take those scrappy duels versus that forced together half-buy, or forced buy, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, look at the guns they picked up, 2 MP9s. It's not a great situation for Party Astronauts. Yes, they'll get a 3rd round on the board. Yes, they win round number 2. 3 survive for the CTs. All of them have rifles. There's an incendiary on Bezzy. This is about as pitiful of a second round force you could possibly win. The only way it would possibly get less impactful is if Fluffy Amers kept 4 rifles alive.
Yes.
It's pitiful.
So very scary round for them going forward. You're exactly right. Brett's going to be able to buy. Brett and Jason are going to be compromised, make no doubt. We're going to have at best an MP9, probably a pistol for Jason if I had to guess. Maybe a 5.7. There's still solid utility. 3 rifles. No kit, but Slum can get one. He won't. Hopefully that doesn't. Oh, Sacrifice has one. Never mind. We got one on the board. So they're covering all their bases, Fluffy Amers. And again, on the compromised weapons, I think they can get across the line. 5 nades down middle. Do a lot of damage, but they don't get a kill. And it's on to the player you want it to be on for Fluffy Amers. It's on to that pistol player in Jason. Spam from Slump. Solid. Exemplary, in fact. Wolfie dips back in and is caught. Brett towards carpets now. Finds 1. Finds 2 for his team. And again, the victory for Party Astronauts might just be isolated by the likes of Fluffy Amers. Fang trying to make inroads in response, finds 1. Still a long way to go, though, for the remaining Party Astronauts duo.
PA has yet to win rounds in succession. And it may continue to be the case here now. Fang and Ben. Mac 10 AK. Moving in towards A. Brett's low, but Bezzy up in heaven. Ready to rebuke this take and send the party astronauts to damnation. Bezzy's got the one. Ben trades it back. Bezzy just waiting for help. He'll take the next fight, and he'll win that one too. 12-3 for the Fluffy Aimers. They are doing fantastic. And party astronauts, they never even got off the launch pad.
Oh, must have forgot to put fuel in the tank.
Yeah, they called them. Their launch got aborted very quickly.
As you mentioned earlier, adverse weather conditions. Fluffy Aimers wind in their sails. Couldn't be more chipper, I would say.
Oh yeah, I'm sure their comms chat is very good to be in right now.
I don't know if you've seen a Brett stream recently. He's been on a bit of a stream kick. He is quite the jovial individual, quite the character.
Good vibes win games. Not a science, but it works.
Yes, it does. He decided trying to take the fight to their opponents might be to their chagrin. This game might have a little bit of life left in it. As 2 kills go the way of party astronauts, albeit not convincingly. Benley and Wolfie are still both low. Side is fallen, and this might be much like the second round of this half, in that remaining trio on B probably just gonna huddle together and save their rifles for round number 17.
And party astronauts can't really afford to go for the hunt here either. That's the worst part here for the T's, that they cannot go all in on the hunt, take the guns away from Fluffy Aimers, and give themselves an easier chance to start stringing some rounds to get together, albeit very late. Clifton will get 1, and actually he'll get 2. He'll go for the exits here, and it'll actually work out well for him. Ben picks up an M4, Infinite continues for more, and he's got all 3, 4 on the round, but where was this for the last 16 rounds of this game?
He was the only one really finding success for his team. Now, even more so, he's trying to put them in the backpack. His ADR has leaped up to, I believe, the highest in the server. Yes, it has. He's even eclipsed Brett at 109. Now we need to see some individuals wake up around him. Sig C is the one to look to. He was our player to watch. Still at 5 and 13. Ben Leet is at the exact same scoreline. Wolfie at 9. Fang doing pretty good at 10. And again, these numbers are not what you'd expect for veterans of the NA scene. Fluffy Aimers cobbled together what they can. They did force by 2 M4s, 5.7, a Deagle, and an MP9. A bit of a default. Fang spamming middle, showing presence. Ben Leet holding passively outside B. The 3 slowly getting control towards A. Fluffy Aimers, a triple stack towards middle. They're going to press as this smoke fades. There's an MP9 and an M4 here. Brett finds 1. Brett finds 2, but it's 2 answered in kind. 6C and Fang combine in response. 3 versus 3. Those still kicking. And still lurking around towards middle.
Even numbers. Not necessarily even strength here, as Brett is wounded. No kit in hand for Fluffy Aimers. Utility is spent. And so is their money. But 1 kill from Sacrifice, and if he could stay alive and buy time, would be huge. He's got support from Brett as well. Both players grouping up, same angle. They're going to start to clear up towards sight as in march the astronauts. Not quite having a party right now, but Brett is dumpstered. Sacrifice, though, 1 knows where the second is. He's got bomb at his feet, and now he's wary of an E-box play as well. Isn't it clearing up sight? Out on Pizza. Sacrifice takes down 60. 5-7 backstab from Bezzy. Puts down Infinite. And Fluffy Aimers, a dominant 13-4 map 1 victory. That is incredible from them for their first win of this ECL season.
First win and a big name to topple in the likes of Party Astronauts. Very well done from the Fluffy Aimers. Again, 13-4 is a statement performance on this first map, and we still have another best of one on the evening. Again, we don't know exactly who they played. I was trying to look on HLTV in the 30 seconds I had prior to game time. We don't know who their second series was lost against. It might have been a default. We'll have to wait and see, or I'll have to do some more digging. But wasn't looking good versus NRG. They had that spark, that glimmer of hope on Anubis, and they showed us here that it was not a fluke versus the likes of Party Astronauts.
Well, that was a very good, very aggressive T side to kick things off, or T side from Fluffy, and then their CT side absolutely fantastic too, and they needed to lock things down. So overall, great job. Our player to watch was Sixy. He had a pretty sleepy game though, Nate, and a bit of an uncharacteristic one, although sometimes he does have those little mulligans that you just kind of have to overlook, but a bit of a brutal performance overall, except for Infinite from Party Astronauts, and they'll have to rebound on the second map, or the second best of one, if they want to level this series.
I was going to say, for better or for worse, he's our player to watch. I would say if he's really struggling like he did here, that's pretty much a good indicator of exactly how things are going for his team. And there you go, stats. He did get 2 more kills in the dying embers of this map, but still 53 ADR is not something you associate with his name. Very unfortunate performance from him. Again, hopefully he rebounds heading into that second one. Still plenty of time to right the wrongs, to right the ships for Party Astronauts. But at this point, I feel like we should be singing the praises of Fluffy Aimers rather than the shortcomings of Party Astronauts, because they showed us a lot to be excited about in this one.
I agree. Fluffy Aimers look great. Bezzy Mech, fantastic. Good aggression. Brett was looking great as well. Slump, solid. Steady, good opper, not someone who had the flashiest of plays, but you don't need the flashiest of plays. The job just has to get done, and Slump got the job done. Jason, Sacrifice, both solid as well. They stepped up when called upon, but it wasn't like it was something overly necessary. They just kind of rode the coattails of Bezzy and Brett. And overall, fantastic work from Fluffy Aimers on map 1. Party Astronauts, can they refuel the ship? Can they find exit velocity? Or are they going to crash down and burn again? We got one more best of one, and it's coming up right on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. If you missed the first map, it was a brilliant showcase of the Fluffy Aimers and the Party Astronauts. They never even showed up to the party at all. I'm Boggs, he's Pineapple Phillips. This is North American ESL Challenger League, Season 48. And we have another best of one between these two teams, but the Fluffy Aimers have already claimed one away from a very heavy hitter in the Party Astronauts. We talked about it in the pre-show, Nate. Fluffy Aimers needed to get a win, and they needed to get it soon. They already got one. There might even be a case for a second here.
I say there definitely is a case for a second, especially given the veto, which we'll get into a little bit later. I don't want to set expectations out the gate that we're going for that, but as it stands, I said Party Astronauts. You said Party Astronauts heading to that first map, given their stellar, near impeccable record on the map, and yet Fluffy Aimers did indeed trounce them through and through. We are going to go ahead and go straight for that veto, ladies and gentlemen. No more obfuscating what is coming through. I think it's already on HLTV anyway. Bans very much the same. Of course, Anubis a default. Vertigo Ancient taken down by Party Astronauts. I believe it's the very same, followed by Inferno and Nuke. Us too, banned by Party Astronauts on that decider. Won't get to see the new updates to that map, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll see it soon, though, because they are quite good changes, leaving just that last quintessential pug map in Mirage as the second best of one of the evening.
And in a matchup where you have a heavy favorite and a team that's not so favored in the series, Mirage is something that you normally see the team that is coming in as the underdog go for. Party Astronauts, it comes down to Dust 2 and Mirage. Their Dust 2 record, not great. 1 and 2, with under 50% win rates on both sides of the coin. Meanwhile, for Fluffy Aimers, they played it once. They lost 13-1 against NRG just last week. But Party Astronauts are trying to play to their strengths. But to call Mirage a strength of the Party Astronauts is a massive stretch. 4-4 record. Their only wins really coming against teams that they should be beating. 1-1 record against NRG. A win versus Elevate. 0-2 versus Nancy. Another one against Take Flight as well. So it's not a map which Party Astronauts should rely on to win them a game. And they're going to have to use it here as such now as we hop into Mirage, our second and final best of one of the night. And here we go, Nate. Must win for PA if they want to avoid the 0-2 loss to the Fluffy Aimers.
And much like last map, there was a knife round to start this off. We don't get to see it, but it looks like Party Astronauts won this one because they're starting on that defense. That's typically the side teams choose on this map to start things off. You have a kit for Wolfie, smoke as well. Dooley's for 6. Dooley Super Soldier, in fact. He has a Molotov on his belt. I believe he's soloing B. A lot resting on his shoulders, but won't get tested in the early goings. Bezimec, again, to be an entry towards underpass, but it's a Wolfie to start off the docket. A win in middle at range, albeit short-lived victory as he gets traded. Ben Leet, another one. Traded? No, it isn't. Fang up towards stairs, finds one. Infinite trades him out, trades across the board, but trades are going the way of Party Astronauts handedly. Sacrifice the 1v3. It would be an ace clutch as well, might I add. He's the only one to find anything for his team in this round. Bomb is down near his feet. He's rather keen on taking a duel before he picks it up. No one's giving it to him, though. In fact, Party Astronauts are happy to just concede the bomb instead, opting to send a pair towards B. Ben Leet holding window from a distance, leaving one on A to spot passively in Infinite.
If Sacrifice can find one and get the bomb down, there's a world in which he wins this, especially given the fact that Ben has no armor and he's only 18 HP. Infinite's playing for the flank, though, and time is running out for Sacrifice. He's about to get caught by Infinite in the sandwich CT. I don't think there's going to be enough time for him to slip through unless he finds the most magical gap. Ben's the first one in. Infinite will peek, but he's going to be a bit too late. Bomb has to go down, and now bomb out for Sacrifice. 6, he can bide his time. Come on through. 1, 2, tap! The spray comes in, but the bomb goes down. That might entice Fluffy Aimers into a 4 spy with a couple Galils and an AK or two scattered around as well. A pistol round win the first lead of the night for the Party Astronauts, but far from a clean round, and one in which, I think a team ace, they probably shouldn't have let the bomb go down.
No, the bomb going down is a big boon for Fluffy Gamers. It'll give them that extra bit of cash. Again, it's not as much as it used to be, but it's still something. And honestly, that T-side didn't really need that much help either. Deagles for 3, Jason, Bezimek, and Sacrifice. I don't think we've really seen a Deagle from Bezimek. He hasn't really had to go for scrappy investments in that first map. I'm eager to see his pistol play when he's on the back foot, because we've seen him win harder. Let's see what happens when the going actually gets a bit tough. Flash smoke for Brett as well. A little bit of utility thrown in for Fluffy Aimers to really try to maybe pop out middle or towards B, perhaps. The Party Astronauts are aiming for longevity with this investment. They want to make it as dangerous for as long as possible. Only 1 MP9, 4 M4s otherwise. Goal for them, keep this round clean. Keep 4 rifles up. Bezimek, though, I mentioned him. I wanted to see his pistol work, and he's lurking over towards A to great success. 1 kill secured, untraded, and it's also a rifle being dropped on the ground.
Yeah, you were like, hey, let's see what he could do. He's good against the pistols. He's good when the other team is a little bit morose. Let's see if he can do some damage. He did some damage. He only got 1 for 1. Still, that's solid. It drops a rifle, as you said. And it does trim out that CT economy. Slump creeping up through middle. Might get some timing. He did not spot a gun barrel of Fang. But he does spot out Sixy. The trade comes through. Fang actually doubling up. Sixy's low on HP. Backs away up catwalk. Retreating. Fang will take another fight. Has a nade in... No, Scorpio has the nade. Never mind. But Fang still sits around for a fight. Ben drops down. He'll mow out the last player with that MP9. Build some money. And there's a bit of a gun shuffle there, so no rifles dropped for Party Astronauts. They keep all of them up in hand. So they have a 2-0 start, but here comes the buy. It was only a half investment from Fluffy Aimers, so they will be a little light on util. They have AKs across the board. This will be a nice, solid round here from the Ts. 4 or 5 M4s across the CT side as well, with a kit on Infinite, the all-important diffuser. Little smoke peek from Wolfie, but there's a smoke top mid, so we cannot see anything. And a bit of an underpass and C hold here from Fluffy Aimers, and they might audible this into an apps play as the Molotov extinguishes up in kitchen. Jason and Bezzy thinking about going on through. Still, very slow round from the Ts, and they're taking their sweet time at getting any sort of information. Party Astronauts might get a little anxious here as Ben goes for a jump spot out towards apps.
Some information this Party Astronaut side. Not really being given over, however. Just crossing that minute mark now. Some utility's been exchanged. No contact being taken. In fact, I don't think there's any damage done whatsoever. Finally, Wolfie and Khan. Front of the smoke is only good for 1. Good damage on the slump as well. There's a lot more to do. Sacrifice 1. Ben Leet, though, on Cat finds first and 60 a second. A very solid, stalwart setup on towards Catwalk. Bezimek and Jason, though, finishing the second half of this pincer. The issue is, yes, the very thing you mentioned, the bomb. It's down the middle. 25 seconds left. 2 versus 3, and Bezimek, the window's closed. Infinite's there to close the door on him. Jason the last. Probably going to save this AK if I had to guess. Seems like that's the only real option for him in this round. 3-0 start for Party Astronauts. The rifle round, that longevity in the second, really paying off in this round.
Infinite's made a little noise, even more as he grabs the AK, but Jason will not face. He will hide. Survive into the next with an AK. The rest of his team may go for a half by a round. I don't think they'll go for a force, given the fact they don't get the bomb down. Still a half buy, could yield some fruit, a bomb plant, some kills, thin out that CT economy, which still has not been allowed to grow significantly. They're going all in, though. Khalil's on all 4, besides that saved AK. Utility. What utility? 3 smokes. And they're already going to use one towards that mid-window. Are they actually going to default with no utility?
I'm going to go for something quick. Look for a pick. They have 1 smoke, 2 smokes. Brett and Slump. So it might be an early.
Brett's got a CT smoke primed, right?
Someone's got something prime. That's a
Oh,
window
that's
smoke.
window.
Maybe top
Another
con.
window.
That's the window, you're right. It's the original window lineup. I forgot it.
There's that top con smoke, though, that you mentioned. There might be a gap for jungle. Infinite 1-for-1 on Bezzy. Met Jason down. Sacrifice pushing up middle. 60 drops him as Wolfie is smoked out with that con smoke. Fang still towards CT. Bomb yet to make its way towards the side for Opera and out of Palace. Fang gets spotted, but he'll still win that fight against Brett. The spam to the box so much, but not enough for Slump. He'll find one before eventually meeting his maker at the hands of Wolfie. The 4-0 start and a pretty solid one from Party Astronauts here. This is the Party Astronauts we thought we would see on map 1.
This is the Party Astronauts we were hoping to see. We were expecting to see. All the individuals firing off. Doing some good work. Wolfie coming alive on that op. He can also definitely take over games. Albeit, as you mentioned, not as flashy. Fluffy Aimers still going to cobble something together. Bezimek on a Hero Galil. 3 Deagles and a P250 to round out the investment with some utility on Brett. Ever selfless from him. This is a far more composed Party Astronauts than we saw in the prior. Sacrifice spotted. That double nade should be deadly. Down to 40 he goes. Smoke off as well from Bentley. He has the utility, the luxury of it. Might as well use it. Still another slow round, though, for this offensive. As all 5 still stand.
It's the mid-round doldrums as we tick down towards the minute mark. Looks to be a B hit on the cards from Fluffy Aimers, unless they audible this underpass, but they are congregating out towards apartments, ready for the pop. Smoke prepped and ready. 3 players here towards B. And a good read from PA's Fang begins to make his way in as well. But they're starting to fall off this B side. They're thinking it might be A instead. There is one mid lurk in Jason, but Fluffy Aimers waiting for that late B explosion here, and I don't mean their objective. Their take is going to come in fast and furious. The late utility from Party Astronauts may just stymie this whole thing. Jason, lots of shots, lots of damage. Nothing on the kill count. 61, but only 1. As Ben comes into the trade, he's low on health and finally runs down. All up to Brett, who's found 2. This is now winnable as the bomb gets planted. The op on the ground. A costly round from Party Astronauts. Win or lose. Their money again still not great. 1 through market, 1 up cat. Timing. Infinite slips through over towards Get Right now. Brett over about where he planted the bomb. Holding for peak. It's all down to timing. He's spotted, taken down to half. But he's got the first, not the second. As Infinite takes the rest of him away as well. Fang got a chunk bitten out of him. But Infinite there to save the day. 5-0 start for Party Astronauts here on CT side Mirage. And I would like to bring a statistic here to view, Nate. Party Astronauts on Mirage have a 37% win rate on the CT side. 3-7.
And they're already up 5-0. That's already a better than average performance.
Significantly better than average.
As, again, possibility of a whole lot more. Wind is in their sails. Fluffy Aimers, though, finally a very solid buy to rival their adversaries. Op out for Slump. Might be the first time, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it is.
Actually holding underpass. He might get caught by 60 on this aggressive push in towards the extremities. Op working up in the perfect time. Slump will be the one to get the better of that duel by timing. Chiefly timing alone. Five versus 4 secured an opportunity that Fluffy Aimers can't really afford to squander. Jason finds Infinite furthering this advantage. Jason now lurking in the extremities, looking for something else. Spots the op of Wolfie. Let's fall back after getting that information. It's going to be an A-site play.
The angle.
Does
if Wolfie stays there.
Question is, can Fang actually hold off this take?
They're all here. And Wolfie's got a shotgun off this at Con. Oh, he hits the wall, bang, and he's sprayed down. Brett trades him. Ben to the lineup, has a hat trick out towards ramp. Sidearm out, Fang bails him out. And Party Astronauts can do no wrong in this round as they're up 6-0 now. Ben with a massive spray down, 1 magazine spent, 3 kills out towards A. Fang good from Ticket. And Wolfie, I think a little unlucky, not out of that whole shebang, as the wall bang shot on the no-scope. There's a little bit of corner in the way of that bullet. And so Fluffy Aimers back on a bye again. Utility a little sparse. Galil on Bezzy, who has not had a very active game. Neither has Brett, Sacrifice, or Slump for that matter. It's been a very quiet game overall here for the Fluffy Aimers. Wolfie eats some utility damage. But he's still alive and kicking with half his health. Fang and Infinite very close up and both in hell. This is dangerous. And I don't mean for Fluffy Aimers, I mean for Party Astronauts. As 2 players in this position, both have been spotted now. The jig is up, the Molotovs only buy so much time, and a second player goes down into the depths of Hades, but he still finds the kill. Infinite flashes himself out, and he's got another, giving the man advantage over to Party Astronauts. Despite falling in that situation, Wolfie through the con smoke, 1 strike onto Brett, and Bezzy Mech with a Galil in the hand and a 1v3 bomb on his back, but situation heavily slated against him. Op shot misses. 60, however, gets his bell rung. And now Bezzy Mech can go for the 1v3 to a 1v2. Double swing! Deleted. And 7-0 CT side. Half secured for the Astronauts.
Very different showing from Bezzy Mech, and not just in individual stats. We talked about him being that fearless entry, finding the openings, making space for his team, taking the fight to his opponents, and yet he's the last alive, alone ramp. Teammates out ahead of him. Very different playstyle for him on this second map when compared to that first best of 1. And as well, stand-up performance for the IGL Party Astronauts. Not a player really looked to shine individually, but he saved that 1 round. When he got close, he came alive. Tremendous impact for him. 4 spies for Fluffy Aimers at this point. They have the loss bonus, and they get a bomb play helps as well. They're being bullied by utility. Brett won't stop him from finding the opening at least. Infinite in towards Sandwich, though, a double before Bezzy Mech puts him to bed. 3 versus 3. Bezzy's low, so is Brett, and there's next to no utility left, just 1 solitary smoke. Party Astronauts still, I would say, favored in this one. Ben Leeton Khan, good for 1, traded. Brett up top, good for nothing more. 60 trades him out. Last alive is Bezzy, who was known to be here, but he's got the first, and he slinks away as well. Planted for him. This is their best opportunity yet. Fang smokes the bomb. Taps it. Pops off. Wants to take this duel proper. Bezzy. Here's the steps. Playing it expertly. This might be the round. Spam through. Spam connects. 4 kills for him right when we said he was a bit disappointing, a bit quiet. He comes alive, and he scratches that first board, or that first round onto the board for Fluffy Aimers.
They needed somebody to step up, and Bezzy Mech delivers with that quad. Good discipline as well in that 1v2. Gets that first low HP on the cross. No real trade there either for PA. And so Fang has to either take the fight or hold. If he holds, he probably gets the defuse, especially as that was a 3-round burst and a reload. But he doesn't really have the information we do. All he can do is work with what he has available to him. So, Fluffy Aimers will crack open the goose egg. Wolfie starts things off with a rifle. Look how destroy the CT economy is, though. 5-7 for Ben, MP9 for Infinite. Utility is quite poor, and Bezzy Mech will have the trade. Brett pushing through, caught by Fang around the edge of the smoke. It's a dink onto Jason as well, but not enough for the kill. 3 versus 3. 60 eliminates Bezzy Mech, the hero of the previous round. Now down for the count. Achilles has been taken out. Sacrifice and Jason have to do it all themselves. Sacrifice. Smoke fades on the cat. XD engages. Sacrifice wins that. Here comes the trade, though, from front or back. Which one will it be? I don't believe Sacrifice knows where Infinite is. He has smokes on both sides, and Infinite will take a freebie there with Jason on 11 HP. One of the most unlikely chances for a 1 versus 2 here without the AK headshot as well. and he's heading into the one player that actually is one-shot headshot to him.
Infinite's no head armor. They're both one shot.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Money has been kept honest, and that gives Jason a glimmer of hope, but only just 25 seconds left. He's going to make it dangerous, perhaps? No. Stick in towards B instead. Commit to this site. The issue is this clear on Wolfie is very difficult. He has to hop up, and from there, he has to make noise to get down, if I'm not mistaken. He won't even clear it. He's instead going to plant for Catwalk. That should be his undoing. Light goes down. Wolfie gets the kill. Bomb does hit dirt at least. A little bit of extra cash as a result, but Wolfie playing it safe secures the round. Smart call from him. 8-1. Fluffy Aimers, their victory isolated alone, much like they did to Party Astronauts in the last map.
The games are rhyming.
They are. A lot of similarities.
Yes, but of course, we've seen these similarities so many times over our tenure here, on ECL, North America in particular. It's not uncommon.
No, it's not. Again, cobbled together 2 Galils, 3 AKs. We've seen this, it seems like, more often than not for Fluffy Aimers, as they are keen on getting rifles onto the board. PA still have an MP9 for Ben as well, but rifle is still in his favor, I would say, especially with that utility on the belt. Brett catches Fang, being over-aggressive towards middle. Big opening to find, again, opportunities that they can't afford to squander at this stage. 8-4 would be a remarkable resurgence to form.
I don't like this aggression from PA. It's too overzealous. It does get one, but still the trade will favor back to Fluffy Aimers. 60 has to lock things down. He'll tuck in, waiting for the pop to come through. Apartments, rotations coming through as well, but 60 only 1 for 1. Wolfie on site, AK in hand. Delivers nothing onto Bezzy Mech, who has another double entry round. An Infinite cut blindsided by Sacrifice. And Party Astronauts fall into this sort of pattern sometimes when they get this positive momentum where they go for these aggressive peaks. They go for these aggressive plays. They push too far in solitary. Even if they 1 for 1, that still favors the T side. But in a lot of these situations, they are going 0 for 1 on the engagements.
And when they find themselves down, they keep pressing. Seems like their play has kind of been figured out at this point. They were known for that aggression. Now it's kind of more expected. To temper it a little bit here and there. Party Astronauts, as I mentioned, their economy was kept relatively honest. Being on the CT side, vehicle economy it has, they're going to be on a scrappy force. Eagle 5.7 MP9s, Moss, lackluster utility. In fact, utility on only 2, and no kit being in play. The helmets feel superfluous if I'm really nitpicking for Party Astronauts, but inside, Wolfie, first at bat, 1 and 2. The 5.7 at close can spam bullets, saturate the air. He finds 2. Infinite another as he drops Jason. Sacrifice catches Ben Leak getting aggressive in apartments, but still 3 versus 2 for Party Astronauts, who are looking keen on really cementing this first half.
Infinite trying to tuck into the corner. Will Sacrifice clear? That's a better question. He has the right idea, but Infinite swings out, hits the chest shot. 56 HP left on the rifler for Fluffy Aimers. Slump and Sacrifice. 2 versus 2 against Fang and 60. 60 taking a hold of apartments. That is his domain. And he is going to bounce anybody out of there that he does not want. Of course, he knows Fluffy Aimers are unwelcome guests to his home. They're working towards A, where the MP9 is the lone defender. Over towards stairs. Does not help out Fang at all. Outranged, outgunned. But he has movement to his advantage. It comes down to timing. He'll swing out wide, and Slump is there for the kill. 60's Vamaz in a 1v2. Trying to put 9 on the board here for the CT side, and he's going to go for it, too, which is a bit of a very risky play. Especially with the bomb down, no kit, planted 4 ramp. He's slipped the gap, though. They don't know where he is. He doesn't know where they are either. It's a bit of a catch-22 right now. But at this point, Danny's got to run. He doesn't have the time. He doesn't have the kit. Is he going for... There's no way he's going for damage. Yeah, he's out.
Not worth it at that point. Save that weapon for the last round of this first half. Fluffy Aimers, possibly a resurgence. 4-8. Make things look a little bit more interesting. 60 just scrounging around looking for a rifle. Won't find one better than the FAMAS, so he's stuck with it. 8-3, 8-4 feels like a very distinct possibility now. This party astronauts will cobble together what they will. MP9, MP9, CZ for Ben Lee. And a third, no, maybe just a second MP9, nope, 3. There we go. Albring brought in. No kit either for this CT side. Wolfie selling his helmet wouldn't be able to afford one. Fluffy Aimers looking to send this one off quickly towards B.
Quickly, but not so quick as they run into all of the utility. They have now stalled out and are waiting for a push, I believe, which is a very good read on how Party Astronauts have played. Pushing hyper-aggressively, taking fights they don't necessarily need to. 60 spotted, but he lives with his head intact. Back and forth, playing with death with Brett on chair, who has abandoned his position. I believe 60 was spotting for that. Wolfie might just get timing on the slump, though. Smoke goes in. Op is out. Wolfie will wait. Instead, just hold, potentially hoping for a boost in. It's exactly what comes his way as Bezimek does take out one. Opening kill to Fluffy. Brett waiting in that smoke. Ships in the night, these two. And Wolfie goes back? He's double dipping. It's bad manners, Wolfie. And Brett's here to punish. What happens to double dippers? 60 eliminated as well as Fang finally trades. But it's a 4v2 in the favor of Fluffy Aimers here. Infinite on a long flank of eternity to make it to sight. But that makes things possible. Bezimek low on the Bogdan's Law op. Infinite, unknown, and unexpected in the apartments. An unexpected part. Slump. Back. Great angle fight won by Infinite. But Fang falls to the op. Infinite spray. Empty. 2 to find. The nade will not make its mark either. Infinite 5 rounds in the mag. Off to the USP. 1 HP. And 4 rounds to end the half. Pretty solid for Fluffy Aimers as we hit the halftime break.
Return to form for the Fluffy Aimers at the end of the first half brings it back to a much more fitting 4-8. And yet, Party Astronauts still had a historic performance on what is technically a very weak side for them on Mirage. It's Pineapple Phillips and Boggs to bring you the action. And Fluffy Aimers now on the defense. No kit for this CT side. It's dualies for Bezimech Super Soldier, Smoke and Flash for Brett. Smoke Molotov for Infinite on the attack. On the PA side, slumps so much control on apartments. At this point, they know it's going to be A. It'll be a very difficult nut to crack for Party Astronauts.
All of this mid-control with Glocks and nothing but. The bomb making its way towards connector. One tepid peek towards B. Dixie's made contact with. He falls to the dual Berettas. Wolfie 1-for-1. Brett and Sacrifice a quick pair as Jason chimes in as well, leaving the in-game leader of the Party Astronauts all alone in this 1 versus 3. The bomb in his possession, but not much else. He'll grab the bomb, grab the vents, and run to B. Slump up on Catwalk is hearing. Oh, no, he's not going to hear any of this. He has to have the read, though. Surely they know. Surely they've read this. And they haven't rotated until the bomb goes down. It's an awkward plant for Ben, but if he can get these 2 down in market, or even the 1, if anyone comes market, that's huge. The fact that all of them are coming cat, though, makes it very awkward for the in-game leader to try and hold this down as the bomb is not planted for him.
Playing numbers, and I like the call. Ben Leet has it all to do. Smoke down on sight. Might actually help him more than his opponents, but he's actually caught right as it blooms, so it's a non-factor. Defuse comes through. And a 5th on the board for Fluffy Aimers as they have really, at this point I would say, cemented a comeback. What was it? Was it 1-8 at one point? Was it
yes,
even 0-8?
1-8. 7-1. 8-1.
And then 8-4. Now, what, that's their 4th in a row off the back of the pistol. Momentum will not be reset. It will continue forward instead. Party Astronauts going to go for a bye, though, looking keen to get back into that winner's column, lest they let their lead slip.
Force buy here from PA to try get back into this, but an awful risk, Vader. It had better work. They let Fluffy Gamers back into this game with a high scoreline should Party Astronauts fail to achieve victory in this round. Slump. First contact out in jungle. Knows they're coming blinded, but Infinite still blind. Wins that fight. Over in Hell, Sacrifice falls to the very same man as Jason, and Sandwich will try to cook himself a meal. Lets the bomb go down. That is brilliant from Jason, as he cannot quite get the 3rd. Ben lead there with a deagle. Picks up the scout, and in comes the peek from Busy, who finds the pair on the lineup. With Wolfie, the last man standing for the Party Astronauts. The bomb in no man's land. A Bezimech over in towards triple, or over towards Con. And Barrett coming in a ramp, meaning a triple plant yields death. Fluffy Aimers, it's Bezimech to bring them back in. And Party Astronauts, again, grasping at straws to find any success when the going gets tough. Their lead close to evaporating. And it'll be up for grabs here after this pistol round.
They've stalled completely. Seemingly so. Eagle P250 and some utility for Party Astronauts to try and desperately get a bomb plant at the least. Ramp they'll come, 1 in Palace, 4 otherwise down on that lower entry. Contact made, now the take comes through. Molotov from Jason to buy time. At this point, Party Astronauts are trying to sow chaos, but they just lack that firepower. Sacrifice finds Sixy. Sam won't connect. Bomb does go down. Successful in that endeavor. At this point, all they can really ask for is a kill at most. Spam from Jason cuts away Wolfie. Fang and Ben Leet, Deagle and Glock. Ben Leet on this fast flank might be good for 1 on the novelty, but his duo, his compatriot, falls in the meanwhile. Defuse guaranteed, no doubt there. And there's not even one. The helmet saves Slump. 7 on the board for Fluffy Aimers, 1 away from completing their comeback and tying us up in the second half.
The buy is here from Party Astronauts, bolstered by the bomb plant, but it's still a very awkward situation for the T's. So much going for them. Now, 6 rounds in a row from their opponents. No timeout called yet from the Party Astronauts. Good nade damage into Slump and Sacrifice, but it's still a long ways away from victory. 5 rounds required from Party Astronauts, and Fluffy Aimers not that far away with 6. Mirage, a very momentum and pugging-based map. When somebody finds form, they can take over, and that somebody has been Bezimek. 17 kills, Nate. He's absolutely dominating. Incredibly slow start. He had like 4 or 5 kills for the first 5 or 6, maybe even 7 rounds.
Very, very slow, but once he gets started, he's like a freight train. He's stalled without ample room ahead. Jason trying to get aggressive. Like the idea, but a little bit too aggressive. Infinite drops him a big opening for Party Astronauts to try and get this engine out from stall. Sacrifice combines with Slump for nothing. Infinite as well drops Bezimek. Just Brett. He's had a decent set of maps thus far for himself, but a 1v5 is most certainly too much to ask. He should be saving this weapon for the following, and he will try to do so. The issue is Party Astronauts seem rather keen on hunting in spite of their lack of economy.
They want the gun away from Brett, and that will not happen. Now he will save unless Wolfie over in Apartments can find the backstab. But Brett should be allowed to save the M4 now. Infinite, though, close and going back to murder hole? That's just feeding Brett at this point. An AK perhaps to be recovered for him, too. That's it's a bold move. Doesn't pan out. They can buy, sure. Money's still not great overall. They're going to use a lot of it to buy utility again. Infinite and Zixi get dropped. Money's still there from Fluffy Aimers too, but Slump has opted for something interesting, Nate. The glass cannon, no utility op. This is a risk. And Fluffy Aimers are almost going all in here. They're shoving that giant pile of chips into the middle of the table. Can Party Astronauts call the bluff is the better question.
Very good question. They were given a boon there in the round prior when the MP9 tried to go up the ladder in towards Palace. Brett and Slump, though, either find themselves a massive opening or give that very same boon in a different way. And drop Sacrifice. 60 finds one. The op does trade, though. However, that opener found earlier by the IGL ensures the advantage rests with Party Astronauts. Bezimek going to be tested when the smoke expires. Block the player throwing. Doesn't get the kill, though. He's actually impacted by the smoke that might have given him away a millisecond too soon. Jason on site now is going to be tested in a big way. He's found one. He needs more. Tapping away. Can't find Fang. The last alive is Slump. The glass cannon. He has made his way over. The migration has occurred. But can he stop the bomb plant on the far side of Triple? The answer is no. Was his scope heard? Might have been. He'll still find that opener. 1v2. Issue as the bomb is planted for this final pair. Wolfie, Fang, Jungle, and Cat. Waiting for the tap, and the double zoom from Slump. He's worried about the wrong angle. Fang in the off towards Jungle is the one to find the kill. And a 10th now for Party Astronauts. As you mentioned, that was an all-in from Fluffy Aimers. They should be saving in round number 18. That'll be an 11th. And from there, they need to come back with 6 rounds in a row to close it out, or 5 rounds while losing 1 to get to overtime.
Well, they had 6 rounds in a row earlier in this map. No reason why they can't do it again, right? Tall task, though. In all seriousness, it's a very tall task. 6 in a row is never easy. And without winning the pistol round, even harder. But they have some P250s. Those can always do damage. Grab an AK, save into the next round. Give you something else to work with. Something a little more special, a little more spicy. Instead of just putting lemon pepper on the chicken, maybe a little cayenne pepper, chipotle, something special. But no. I don't even know if they put salt and pepper on that one. Pretty bland finish. Party Astronauts grab the 11th very cleanly. Fluffy Aimers hanging on by dear life, getting a buy up again. Slump will get the op with armor this time. A little bit of utility to bolster his belt too. The Party Astronauts can all but secure this map with a win here in round 19.
Lemon Pepper's catching strays in this series. A wild accusation there, Boggs.
It's not enough.
It's plenty.
No rosemary, no thyme, no herb at all.
It's plenty of time in this round, though. Slump on the op, lackluster utility. In fact, bare bones utility for Fluffy Aimers. Party Astronauts not the same. Full investment. Ops for both teams. Slump versus Wolfie. I would say Wolfie's had the greater of the two impacts. Working in towards Palace, though, wants to be an opener. First, no one's presented, though. He's spotted. Plus the elbow, rather. See you in the duel, though. Tags, bags with the assist from Fang. Good start. Player underneath won't be mollied out. That's a flubbed piece of utility. As he now hurried in towards the ladder. Might be spans. All climbing. Fang falls. An awkward duel. Damage exchange. Infinite Fang, though. Do recover. Slump on the op towards CT. Finds one. Come through, though. 3 versus 2 for Party Astronauts in the post plan. Brett has to find his in middle, and Slump has to do something here towards CT. Fang. Felled. Good start. Still a lot more to do as the bomb slowly ticks away. Op of Wolfie. Good trade, albeit delayed. Leaving just that op of Slump, and he seems to be a little bit tunnel visioned towards Wolfie. Yes, he is. Ben Lee from Tetris does him in. Map point secured for Party Astronauts as they're looking to put this best of one to bed in a more expected way.
Much more expected way here by Party Astronauts, although it's not over yet. MP9s adorn the blue side of things for Fluffy Aimers. Brett, the last one to invest, has a boatload of utility and a scout in the hand, while everyone else on the submachine gun with the best jumping accuracy in CS2. Wolfie's op starts off with one. Sacrifice closes the gap, sprays down one with a little bit of damage onto another. The pistol out for Wolfie will keep him alive, and bag sacrifice in the meantime. Brett has that scout. He's up towards Con, keeping an eye on Palace. Unluckily for him, nobody coming that direction. All 4 remaining Party Astronauts out towards mid, and they're going towards B as well. Flash up Cat to allow them to push on through. Vent's broken. That's actually going to allow Fang and company to try to go back A. But Bezzy in hell, Jason in Palace. Interesting position, and Bezzy's actually got one off that rip. 3v3 now. No trade back. Wolfie's op struggling against the SMGs. That movement speed difficult to contend with. The smoke obliterated. Jason still looking out towards triple. Infinite tagged, and Brett does get 2 with a USP! The bomb! But not quite enough yet. Fang. 1, needs 2 more. Butts out 1, but he is drive-byed by Jason. AD spam. And Fluffy Aimers stay alive. They grab an op and AK. Party Astronauts cannot put this one to bed just yet.
Not yet, but still plenty of time to do so. Need to win 1 of the next 4. That's it. That'll get them across the line. They still have cash in the bank to invest. AKs and 1 op for Wolfie. And this is the Party Astronauts you'd expect to see. All the veterans really hitting on an even level. 17 for Infinite and Wolfie and Fang, the trio. Ben lead at 16. 60 uncharacteristically at the bottom, still not doing nothing. He's still at 11. Still a decent scoreline, all things considered. Slower approach this time around for Party Astronauts. Less confrontational. Slowly getting control. Slipping up towards A. And jumping up is the first to fall, though. Good opening for Jason. Wolfie's op not offered an opportunity for trade either. Means that Fluffy Aimers sit pretty with the advantage.
That's the bomb, too, at A ramp alone. Ben will join up with it, but it's such an exposed position for your objective. The rest of Party Astronauts working around the extremities of the map. Ben tosses a smoke out towards stairs. trying to allow Wolfie to get a peek towards sight, but Slump's on ticket. It's going to come out of timing here. Slump's got the angle. He flicks back to the right direction. Bezimek double dink onto Ben. Sixy and Fang, the last two standing, and maybe not for long, as Fluffy Aimers try to bring this one back to at least overtime. They would need 5 in a row to achieve that goal. The bomb out ramp, PA on the save, because their money not looking too pretty here, Nate. Dashed against the rock, it seems, and so Fluffy Aimers will draw within 3. And this one is not put to bed just yet. We might have some more Counter-Strike on the cards here tonight. There's still, of course, more tomorrow. 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 6 p.m. Pacific over in the U.S. Same place, same time. New teams.
Probably same casters. We'll see. Fluffy Aimers hanging on. First of 4 trials passed. I'm all up as well. The economy can build. Not that it's really useful, as long as they have a full buy on deck. Already astronauts, maybe at the end of their economic rope. They have those 2 saved weapons. 6-0 kind of compels them to do something. No, they'll actually save instead. 3 Glocks with some utility. And 60 will be in an awkward spot in the round following when they choose to invest. Sacrifice, though, looking to show some aggression, some confidence from Fluffy Aimers, pressuring down middle. Brett, this B-side anchor is going to be tested. Bezimek is here now in support. They're changing utility. That gives 60 a window. He'll seize it, finding 1. Bezimek now, a hero with a lot to do. 1 secured, 2, no. Wolfie on the P250 gets the trade. Now rifles are picked up. Things become far more difficult for Fluffy Aimers as sacrifice falls. 2 versus 4 for Slump and Jason. The op is unwieldy on a re-entry towards B. Nade open the smoke. Anything that will turn him down before it goes off. Wolfie threw it as well as it re-blooms. Finds the second. 13-9 as Party Astronauts right the ship and split the series on the evening.
A bit messy in the end for the Party Astronauts, but at least they are able to split maps with the Fluffy Aimers for a team that you would expect to be towards the top of the pack come playoff time. But for Fluffy Aimers, some very bright spots, I have to say. I was impressed with how they played overall. Bezimek, incredible player, rifle-wise, pistol-wise, all across the board. Good aim, good decision-making as well in the clutch. Love watching him play. Very good debut for us to watch him, I will say. And I was very impressed with that. Sacrifice lives up to his name. Steady, good team player. And Slump on the op, very serviceable.
Yeah, all around, I'm very excited about Fluffy Aimers. We have that player to watch. Of course, it was 60. A quieter map too as well, unfortunately. Put a little bit too much pressure on him. Perhaps a caster's curse even. Still a serviceable performance. He did what his team required in that second map, even if it was a little bit scrappy at the end. 58 ADR, 0.75 KDR, 12 and 16. He should probably find his footing going forward. Again, he's a player that's pretty consistent on this team. Overall stats for Danny don't paint a prettier picture. 19 and 30 over both maps of the series. But again, my biggest takeaway is Party Astronauts still have to find their groove a bit. Perhaps they're getting read a little bit more now that they're a known quantity in North America. Whereas Fluffy Aimers are looking like a team to be reckoned with, a team that is vying for a spot at the, I don't want to say the low end, but the mid to low end of playoffs in spite of their weak start.
Yeah, a pretty rough start, but a promising resurgence here with taking away a map from the Party Astronauts, Fluffy Aimers. Team to keep an eye on moving forward, but that will be the end of our broadcast here tonight. First one, 13-4 on Anubis for the Fluffy Aimers. Party Astronauts respond in kind with a 13-9 victory on Mirage. But that will wrap things up for us tonight. Tomorrow, though, again, as I mentioned there towards the tail end, same place, same time, new matchups here for North American ESL Challenger League. Starting again 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. On behalf of Pineapple Phillips and the production crew here, I am Boggs, wishing you all a very fond good night. And we'll see you again tomorrow for some more great North American Counter-Strike. Until then, have a good night.